Hey y'all, my name is Penny Larson. Welcome to my studio. Today I want to show you something new. I recently started working with the folks at Attack Drumheads, and I wanted to show you this new head that they just came out with called the Logic Dot. It's 10 mil of Attack's Dynaflex film with Attack's crimp locked hoop, which I'm going to mention all the time because I love. So there's two things about this head that make the construction unique. The first is obvious, this oblong top dot, right? And then the other thing is this minimized, minimal muffling ring on the underside of the head. And that is specifically designed to let the rim shots open up a little more. A lot of times muffling rings, those pre-muffled heads can be just dead sounding and they can make your snare drum sound like cardboard box-like. And it can be kind of cool, right? If you're recording and you just need to throw on a head and need like I need a sound that I know is going to work and will be dead and muffled and let's just go, then sure, those pre-muffled heads can be perfect, right? The more regular size muffling ring. But this reduced muffling ring lets the head be a lot more lively and a lot more responsive and dynamic. And that's all I want for my drums. I want to be able to play super, super, super quiet and super, super, super loud. And I want my drum to be like, yeah, no problem. We got you, Penny, right? Like, so for me, that minimized muffling ring is kind of perfect. I've pined for a head like this for years with that smaller muffling ring, because I love the concept of that. And now I have two, because that smaller muffling ring is on the Logic Dot, but it's also on the Baron. So super cool. When you look at this head, your first instinct might be, is that a mistake? And the answer is no. This head has an oblong dot. Most dotted heads have that nice perfect circle right in the middle. The Logic Dot has a oval oblong dot. And the premise is that as you move out from the center for your ghost notes, or if you pull the stick back for your rim shots, which that's when I move around, that's what I tend to do the most, you're still going to be on a dotted surface. And so this is a top dot. You can see the reflection. And so it's going to protect that coating, which for me sometimes is an issue, because when you've got a dotted head with the dot underneath, you wear through that coating and the head is still fine. There's still, tons of playability left in the head, but because the coating has worn off that little center spot, you get kind of, I don't know, I feel kind of like bummed out, right? So, which is maybe silly, but I don't care. So I really love the concept of a top dot. The other thing is just for playing, the head is a little bit stiffer, the playing surface on a top dot, and the head gives you a little bit more articulation with the dot on top. Let's take a couple steps back. Let's put the head on the drum and see how it sounds. I'm putting this head on Ludwig classic maple 6.5 by 14 snare. I figured that is just about the most neutral sounding snare I own, and so we can really focus on how the head sounds. I debated putting the head on a few different snares, but then it felt like then we'd be comparing the snare sound instead of just checking out the head. And so I decided to pick the most run-of-the-mill snare that I own probably, and go with that. I have Attack's thin snare side head, which is the regular 3 mil snare side of that, the Dynaflex film. And then I have just regular snappy snares. The bottom head is tuned kind of middle of the road. I used to go super cranky on the bottom head, and I've I've come down a little in the last few years, and so this is what I consider for the snare side head and the snare setup, that it's kind of my middle of the road nowadays. I'm going to start with the head at a low tuning and then bring it up and see what happens. The only mics I'm using are my overheads, and there's no compression, no EQ, no nothing. You are getting the sound in the room. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, so what'd you think? I gotta be honest, it sounds a lot less weird than I was expecting it to. It sounds pretty much like a dotted head. And the thing I found really surprising was when I come from the center to the outside that's dotted, it does have a different tone than dead center, but it's not quite the same tone as when I come off center off the dot. It's almost like it splits the difference, which I suppose makes sense. So you end up having almost a couple options when you come off the center, and that's cool, right? Options are cool. The way that I liked it the best was with the dot kind of vertical, so that when I went forward for like my buzz rolls and quieter playing, I had the dot there. I tend to play pretty much in the center and not come off to the side too much. So for me, that vertical positioning worked best. But the cool thing about this head is you can, align it any way you want, and however your stick moves around. I watched a video with Todd Zuckerman the other day where he was moving his rim shots forward to get more of the stick over the drum, and that'd be a great way to have the dot aligned too. So when you move your stick forward, you still have dot up there to activate the whole drum. So it's a really, it's an interesting and much more versatile head than I was expecting. When I first saw it, I thought, that looks hilarious. And it is, it still looks hilarious, but it's far more normal and useful than I would expect by looking at it. It looks like it's going to be all sorts of weird tone-wise, but it's not. Like I say, it sounds like a dotted head. It still has plenty of body. That minimal muffling ring gives it a little bit of control, but it still has plenty of air in it. I am really impressed by the work that the folks at Attack did in minimizing that muffling ring so that the top like nasty overtones are taken out of the head, but the rim shots still have some air and some liveliness and some dynamics. I've tried heads with the overtone ring before, and the rim shots always just kind of sound like a box, right? And that's a heartbreaker, right? So yeah. I want to thank Attack so much for welcoming me to the family and having me check out this new Logic Dot head. It's one of many heads that I am super excited to be trying out. And in the coming weeks, I'll take you through my whole setup and explain what I'm using where and why and the sounds I'm going for and that. And I will see you again real soon. Thanks for watching and take care. I love you guys. Bye.